Let's take a look at some reference images I put together. As mentioned, if you're looking for a realistic result, good reference is one of the most important things. Gather some reference images and put them beside your renderings to compare them in detail. Often our imagination of something is not matching reality, influenced by several things, so a direct comparison is necessary. The first thing we can see here in the pictures is that there are areas with different wave types, influenced by wind, drift, or the ground, for example. Here is a more calm area, sometimes it's nearly looking like a mirror, and on the other hand there are areas with higher waves. Also, the direction and frequency of the waves is not uniform. In this area, for example, they are going more to the right, and here it looks like they're going away from us. If your scene is near the coast, the ground color is also an important thing to keep in mind. If you take a look at reference videos, you will notice that in open ocean, under good weather conditions, the waves often do not have a directional behavior. It more looks like they're going back and forth. So, keeping all this in mind, let's tweak our open ocean scene and don't hesitate to compare your result again and again with the real references. Welcome back in Houdini. So now that we know in which direction we are heading, we are first going to set up our scene a bit more. As I said, we want to have a whole bunch of these turbines here. So let's go into this turbine geometry here, and basically we are going to copy these turbines on a grid. Okay, so let's say 2000, 1500 for example, and we were gonna have 6 by 6 rows and columns. As you might know, you can use the copy node or copy stamp in Houdini 16 just to copy our turbine on every point on the grid. The direction here is a bit wrong at the moment, just untick these two that it should use the normal information on here. We're just going to use our original orientation. Okay, but it would be really nice if these things here would spin, and another point that they don't spin equally on each one, they should have an offset. So how to do this? We have our grid points here, so let's assign an ID to every grid point here. To do this, let's drop down a point wrangle, and with a simple code line in vex, it's possible to achieve this effect. So let's say integer add ID equals randomize point number multiplicated with 1000. Okay, that should work. So now we choose a random value based on the point number, multiply it with 1000 to get a random ID number in the geometry spreadsheet. You can see here that works fine. Okay, next we have to apply this randomized ID we generated to the spinning here. So in the copy SOP, let's see at the stamp tab here, let's stamp the input, cache the jumping geometry, and peg it before geometry copying. Because if you peg it, every object is just one pegged primitive, and the performance is much faster. So which attribute to stamp? It's the ID value we just created, and now we need to use it somehow, this ID value, in the left stream. So drop down a transform SOP, and I already prepared the turbine that there's a group. You can see there, it's a blades group. So we can just transform this blades group. Okay, so now we need to move the pivot to the right position, otherwise they will rotate really strange. That's not what we want here. So I figured out the pivot values, just put them minus 4.5, 100 and 3.65. Okay, that should work. Now they rotate really nice. And in this field here, now we will put our stamp expression. So we want to have them move with every frame. So let's put $F for the current frame plus stamp, And now we going to grab this ID value from the copy one node. Okay. And it's ID and last. Okay. So as you noticed, now all of these blades are a bit different, and when I start scrubbing here, they all start moving. That's exactly what we want. Okay, one more thing is at the moment they are distributed really equally, so it would be good to have a slightly point jitter here, but we will limit the jitter to the X and Z axis, not the Y axis. So just put a 0 value here, let's say 25. Yeah, that's nice. So that's more natural. Yeah, now our turbines I copied, and we can continue setting up our scene. Let's get out here, and another thing we need also for the rendering in the future is an environment light. Drop down it, environment light, oops, sorry. And always handy is this standard HDR. It's in the Houdini pick folder here. It's the Dosh Skies low-res red. Simply a beach with a sky. As you can see now, it already improved the shading in the viewport, and we can judge much better also the pattern of our oceans. So last but not least, let's create a camera setup, because if we make flipbooks in the future or renderings, it's always good to have the same perspective. Otherwise, it's really hard to judge if every time the camera is rotated in a different angle. So let's drop down a camera, look through it, and let's change the focal length to 41, for example. Lock the view, and let's see if we can find a nice view for our ocean scene here. Perhaps one of these things in the foreground a bit. Yeah, like this. Okay, last but not least, let's extend our preview grid here to have a better overview. Okay, that's it, I think, with the preparation for the scene. So see you in the next clip.